Welcome to this next episode of the Masters of Musings podcast, where you can rest assured we are not throwing away our shot. We are going to be talking about Hamilton this week as they celebrated their 10th anniversary on Broadway. It's also been 5 years since it first appeared on Disney Plus, and that's how Eileen and I actually first discovered it, was on Disney Plus. And truthfully, I will readily admit that I'm not one who's big into fads, and I initially saw this as a fad. And so when we first sat down to watch it, truthfully, the first 10 minutes or so, I wasn't really into it. Well, years later, here we are, and I'm totally into it. So we're going to be going over our top 10 favorite songs from Hamilton. Now, of course, this is our top 10 favorite songs in the moment, because this may change from day to day, as I'm sure it does with you. Every time you listen to it, maybe you'll catch a little something different. That every time you watch the show, whether it's live or on TV, it's going to show you something a little bit different that may have you see things in a completely different perspective. So that's going to be our examination of Hamilton in celebrating this decade of really just being a Broadway powerhouse. And before we get into that, though, one other thing that's music to everybody's ears is Meghan's Cuckoo Bananas Joke of the Week.
And now it's time for Meghan's
Cuckoo Bananas Joke.
Hi, Meghan.
Hi.
Do you have a joke for us today?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear it.
What time do ducks wake up?
I don't know. What time do ducks wake up?
At the quack of dawn.
Good one.
Eek, eeka, eek, eeka, eek, eek,
Okay.
eek.
Say goodnight.
Good night.
Well, Meghan's made you laugh, and now we're going to get into Hamilton, which, honestly, if you're a lot like me, you've laughed, you've cried, you've sighed a lot and been deep in thought. Well, maybe not. But anyway, we're just going to get right into our main topic.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
All right, so we are here to talk a little bit of Hamilton. Now, the 10th anniversary of Hamilton on Broadway, when this episode comes out, will have passed. The actual 10th anniversary will have been August 6th. So, and this will be coming out on August 8th. So, it's been 10 years since Hamilton first hit Broadway, and it's been 5 years since Hamilton has been on Disney Plus, which is how we came to see it. Now, we also have seen it on stage at the Bushnell Theater in Hartford. We've never seen it on Broadway. In fact, I've never seen anything on Broadway. I don't think you have either.
Nope.
But I've seen some other shows live. I've seen Jesus Christ Superstar. I've seen Godspell. I've seen Fiddler on the Roof, which is harder to say than you'd think. So I've seen some shows before, and I've always enjoyed musical theater, but this is just different. It just feels different. It just hits a little different. And just the musical style, the way that the set is designed, the cast that they've put together, first for the original, and then what we've seen on stage since then.
It lives up to its hype.
It does. And I think that it also has staying power, the way that some of those other ones, so like I've mentioned, or some of the other classic ones like Phantom of the Opera, which I haven't seen. It feels like it is going to stay like in the pantheon of those great shows, the West Side Stories and things like that. So
I hope so, because then maybe one day I can see it on Broadway.
well, I mean, 10 years, it's still going, obviously very strong. When Leslie Odom announced that he was going to be doing some performances, I looked into that for your birthday, and then decided, hey, it's cheaper to fly to Europe. But so I don't think that we have to worry about the show going anywhere anytime soon. But to mark this 10th anniversary, Eileen and I are going to attempt to name our top 10 songs from Hamilton. And I say attempt because what we have and what we may say today is this snapshot in time. Like on a given day, these could rank differently.
I was going to say, like, this is what I came up with 3 hours ago when I sat down and went through the soundtrack. But tomorrow, in a different mood, I could have totally different songs in a totally different order. Some of them I know would be the same, but there, especially those like 8, 9, 10, like those could jump on or off the chart or higher. Like some of my 8, 9, 10, I'm like, actually, I might put that at 3 or 4, but it depends on the mood.
Well, and I don't know about you, but even since, a few hours ago, I'm thinking, man, should this be higher? I don't know, so a lot of it with a lot of these things and with whatever art media you're consuming, how you're feeling that day, where your headspace is at will impact, where this is. But I still think that overall, this will be a good snapshot on what we feel are, the strongest parts of this show, which doesn't have a real lot of, weak parts in it. But
well, and I look at some of the ones on my list too, and like where they're ranked might have to do with like a connection I make to it or something like that. Like, but my number one song may not be the best song in the show, but it is the one that like.
Well, that's the thing about art is it's what speaks to you. So what may not be like objectively, the best when you're looking at something, musically and the technical side of it.
Right, but if you can get me to pump my fist while running down the street, then like things like that. But all right.
So let's get started. Do you want to kick us off?
I feel like you can start us off.
Okay, I kind of always defer to you as the guest, to go first. But if you'd like me to go,
I mean, am I really a guest at this point? This is my 3rd in a row.
That's true.
I feel like I should be in the podcast.
That's true. Maybe I should. Yeah, maybe we need to talk about that. Maybe we.
School's starting soon. I will not have time.
Well, maybe this can be an escape. Either way. Anyway, not what we're here to talk about right now.
No, I was more making a joke.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Number 10 cases fire.
Okay. So my number 10 is Satisfied.
Okay.
It's a great song. I heard a story, and I don't know how true it is, but that basically Lin-Manuel Miranda's wife basically said, you've got to give the woman the strongest rap in the show. And then later she said, and he did. So I think that I love the whole, it kind of taking you back in time. You've already seen a moment in time in the show, and then it brings you back and you're seeing it from a completely different perspective. So yeah, that's my, and it's terrifically performed. Both times, whether it's been on Disney Plus or when we saw it live. I don't know the names of the actors in the touring group that we saw in Hartford, but
it was great.
Both times it was great, and I think that that speaks to the strength of the song when, you know, you can see somebody else perform it and be like, wow, that still has that power.
Yeah, that's on my list, but not at 10.
Okay, so what's your 10?
I'm even now, I'm like, do I change? I'm going to go with my list and just know it might change. My 10 is The Story of Tonight. And, you know, that might not be the most like musical piece in it, but like I can connect to that. Basically, it's just like friends hanging out, having dreams for the future.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like that because I can totally picture, you know, younger Eileen sitting around with our friends like, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Everyone's going to be, you know. So that's kind of one that like, I mean, it's a nice like calm down point after things were a little crazy. But I also just, it reminds me of younger Eileen when I had hopes and dreams, and and most of them have come true. He sits over there like smirking like,
I'm so sorry.
No, you know, yeah. I'm totally happy with my life. But it definitely reminds me of like when you're younger and like dreaming of the future.
Young and idealistic.
Yes.
All right.
Instead of old and jaded.
All right. And now we'll move on to
Number 9.
My number 9 is Right Hand Man. Now, one of the things that I love about Hamilton is the complexity of Washington as a character. You know, he's he even talks a bit about how he has this stature, and you know, there's a reason for his stature, but at the same time, he's got questions, he's got self-doubt, he understands the weight of the responsibility that's on him, and everything that goes along with that. And this is the first kind of like peeling back of that curtain that you get in this show, and it's something that's consistent throughout the show. But this is that first kind of glimpse into it, and it's still done on top of everything else. It's done in the midst of battle, you know. So there's still like a frantic nature to a lot of what's going on around, and then there, you know, there's kind of like this introspective pause, and then it's like, oh well, we're still in the middle of all this, you know, fighting that's going on right now. So yeah, so that's where I am with that one.
Yeah, that one comes up for me a little bit later. My 9th is Satisfied, for a lot of the reasons you said, but like I also have like, so 5 years ago, I think it's actually their anniversary today, according to Facebook. So my cousin got married 5 years ago, from the recording date. So happy anniversary. But I just like at her bachelorette and even like at the wedding, we all like, her and my sisters and cousins, like the to the bride, like we very much like all connected to this song, and we sang it loudly outside. Like at the wedding, I have a distinct memory of doing it. Like, what?
Nothing, I'm listening.
Oh, okay. You were shaking your head. I'm like, we weren't like on the dance floor or anything like that. We were out on the driveway, I think, waiting for the bathroom, and she walked out and we all like cheered and sang it. But yeah, so like that, anytime I hear that, like that takes me back to like, you know, her wedding and like leading up to the wedding. And all of us singing it really off key and loud, and probably messing up some of the lyrics or all of the lyrics, but you know, a fun memory.
Well, something that I thought of kind of related to that, but you had also mentioned like pumping your fist or something like that. I've found at times, like even if I'm running and this song
Do you race?
is on, yeah, it's like, to your union, to the revolution.
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'll,
Yeah.
I'll find myself with my hand in the air. All right, now moving on to I have The Room Where It Happens. Leslie Odom's just terrific in this throughout, and this is one of those like real opportunities for him to showcase his talents. It's also like the true like kind of peeling back of his ambition, because through so much of this, he's so holds things so close to the vest, and this is really kind of like the reveal, for him. This is his motivation. This is what he's after. So yeah.
8, right?
Yep.
That one's not on my list.
Wow.
That was one that got bumped today. It might.
Well, we can do honorable mentions.
Oh no, I mean,
I have a few that I'd like to name as honorable mentions when we're done. But
yeah, and by bumped today, so I went through the soundtrack, not listening to it, but like went through all of them and like made my list, and then had to like cut some.
Mm-hmm.
So my 8 is Guns and Chips, and that's just obviously like it's about to be the turning point. You're getting Hamilton back, and that's a fun one. So I listen to this a lot when I'm running, and that's one that can always like, it's got a really good pace, a good beat, and so that's really one that like when I'm running, I'm just like, all right, here we go, let's go. And also, that one reminds me of one of my sisters and her love of Lafayette. Not
David Diggs.
No, not David Diggs. Of David Diggs as Lafayette. She doesn't like him in the second act. She likes him as Lafayette. She doesn't like Lafayette. She doesn't like David Diggs. She likes him as Lafayette.
Okay.
So, she gets really into that one. But yep, so that's my 8.
All right, on to 7. My number 7 is My Shot. To me, this is the true introduction to Hamilton in this play. You have the opening of where it's kind of basically like, okay, we're going to tell you all of these things.
Yeah.
And then there's like kind of a introduction of some characters. Okay, these are going to be some of the main players. And then we've told you all of this now. Now we're going to show you. And so this is kind of like the coming out for Hamilton in this production as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, no, I have that there as well. For a lot of the same reasons.
At 7?
No, on the list, but
okay.
No, we haven't had any overlaps of the same numbers. Can I have a pen, please? My list is getting like harder to follow because it's not in order on my paper. So I just don't want to like skip. So my 7 is Right Hand Man. Again, we don't need to really expand more. I love what Washington does in it. Obviously there's a lot of energy to that song because like you said, the war is going on. And again, not to be like, I don't like them all because I like to run to them, but this is another one that I really, really like to run to, especially as it gets going. And like, I find myself like when the cannons are exploding, I'm like exploding with my hands, and I'll be running because I run outside a lot, and I'm just running down the street going boom.
Okay,
And-
well, I don't do like spirit fingers, but I will, like,
Oh no,
do a fist bump.
my cannons explode. I'm not doing, these are spirit fingers. I'm exploding.
Yeah, now nobody can see what you're doing, but she's like extending her arms out above her head with her fingers spread. And so,
But they're not wiggling. They're
okay, so you're blowing it up. You're not doing fireworks.
right. No, yeah, it's boom. And I'm running and I'm going boom. And then I put in some extra booms too, because I think there should be. And the number, I do it with a few other songs too. Like I insert something that I'm like, this should be there. And there should be some extra booms in that song, but there's not in my mind. So I add in the booms as I'm going. But yeah, luckily most of the time I'm running at like 6 a.m. So not a whole lot of people see me. But I definitely like, and I find with songs from this musical, I do that a lot more with like than other songs that I'm listening to. Like there's a few that just really like speak to me and get me to get extra into my run.
All right, so now we are down to
Number 6.
Yes.
So my number 6 is Guns and Chips.
Mm.
I think that for a lot of this, it's one of those things where it's like, what's the moment for each of these characters? And Guns and Chips is like one of those David Diggs moments, as Lafayette. So that's, it's one of those big moments, and I guess that's pretty much all I can say about it is like,
I really think it's a big turning point it's like leading up to that battle. Like he's basically telling Washington to like, what you got to do if you want to win this war.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not even talking.
You're talking
I'm not
David
talking.
Diggs.
I'm not even talking plot wise. Like one thing that Miranda did really well was giving each of these people, each of these characters, a spotlight at some point, and that's like Lafayette's spotlight moment. So, and obviously David Diggs in that role knocked it out of the park.
It's so good. So. I was gonna say, yeah, really, it's David Diggs doing what he like does best, and yeah, having a party.
How about your number 6?
My number 6 is History Has Its Eyes on You.
History has its eyes on you.
And I think that's just kind of one of those like impactful times again where Washington is again kind of going into his past and passing on what he's learned. And again, like everyone's going to be watching you. Like this is what you are going down in history for doing this, but sharing the wisdom that he has learned over his time. And it's not the end of Washington, because he obviously has another one that's coming up in a little bit on my list, but it is that like, yeah, it's not the passing of the torch, but again, he's sharing all that, like passing on his knowledge. And I think he's a talented singer too. And his songs are all really good.
All right. So now we are getting into the top 5.
Ooh.
So.
Even now I want to switch some of them, but okay, go.
At 5. I had Nonstop. You're looking at me like you can't remember what that song
No,
is.
I know it. I don't have that at all on my list. That wasn't even on my...
Oh my goodness. Wow. So this is the first real deviation we've had, I think.
There was another one or two.
Anyway, but yeah,
you keep talking. I'm
okay.
going back to
I mean, I think that obviously it's the last song of the first act, so it's gonna have like a crescendo, but like it's a great like blending of so many of these characters. And somebody was saying recently, I think it was mentioned on, I know I'm bringing them up again, I bring them up on the podcast all the time. The Hyperion Adventures podcast had a HamilTEN episode this past week, and one of their guests kind of made mention that much like John Williams with Star Wars, each one of the characters kind of has a kind of like a quote unquote like theme song.
Yeah.
And Nonstop is like really kind of like
together.
A good blending of all of those together.
Which of course is perfect at the end of the second act.
First act.
Or first act, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why I have that there.
I skipped over it. I must have scrolled right past it because that is one that I mean, I don't know which one I would have bumped off my list, but I don't know. I don't know what happened to it, but it's not there. I just went back to like the list that's what I was doing was I was scrolling through to see like how I missed it. And it's not like I picked one before it or after it either and scrolled through it. I must have just kind of like did a bigger scroll and I don't know. Yeah, no, I know exactly what Nonstop is. It gets stuck in my head a lot too. All right, so we're at 5.
Yep.
5 is my shot. So that's where I put that. And I obviously like, you know, you've got it all. You kind of talked about it already, but it also kind of that's the one where he ends up with like it ends with his like I forget. Never mind. It ends up being like the picture on the thing, isn't it?
Oh, I don't remember, honestly.
Doesn't he end up like with anyway?
Maybe.
But yeah, so obviously, yeah, I don't need to talk about it anymore. It's a fun song. It's a good song, and there we go.
All right. So now on to number 4 for me is History Has Its Eyes on You. I honestly think that Washington is my favorite character in this entire
You've
thing.
Said that, yeah.
You know, I've said that to you before. But they do a good job. Miranda does a good job of making sure that there's depth to all of these characters. But like I said before, he does a really great job of making sure that you know that George Washington has maybe the most realistic grasp on the gravity of everything. And this, you know, it's a really short period of time in the totality of the production, but it's one that just I have always gravitated towards. And you know, you touched on a lot of the finer points of it, but in the grander scheme, yeah, that whole recognizing the moment is just really poignant. How about your 4?
My 4 is Burn. I think again another. I mean, if we talk about the original cast, like Philippa Soo, like just crushes it. You can feel what she's feeling, and I think she performs it well. I mean, it obviously was written for her. It was like, well, not for her, but it was written like she fits it perfectly. It's you know, you kind of see her a little bit, and that she's standing up for herself, saying it's none of your business. I'm getting rid of all this stuff. But just, I think her voice and like the way she performs it is just super impactful. It's the second time I've used that word in this podcast. But
well, that says something, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, she's very powerful. It's a very powerful moment in it.
All right. And now, so my number 3, I'm going with Washington songs back to back here, is One Last Time. I think one of the things that I really enjoy about that, outside of it's again Washington understanding the moment and the importance of it, but I love that moment where the farewell address, which is actually it's taken actual lines from Washington's farewell address, and they've been tweaked a little bit to make it fit with the music,
Not
but
the
in
old
general,
fashioned way of speaking
it still captures a lot of that, but some of it was like a lot of things that Miranda did with
maybe
the
use
show
phrases versus
basically had to manipulate it a little bit to make it fit into, in this case, fit into the music. But I really love that. And one of the things that Eliza did later in life was she, as part of her collection of all of Hamilton's stuff, was she fought to maintain that Hamilton wrote, or was at least pivotal in writing, that farewell address. So I love that moment in it where like Hamilton's fading back and Washington's
yes.
coming forward, and as that's happening physically, their voices do the same. And I think that's just a really, really cool.
Yeah, that's not my next one, but I was going to mention that if you didn't, like, that's just, I love that part of it.
And your number 3?
My number 3 is Wait for It. It's just a really good song. I can't give you a specific, like, I can't give a specific reason why, except that I just really like it. You can really, like, it creates empathy. It, so I really like Wait for It. This is the one I was thinking of when I mentioned at dinner. I'm like, I may not be able to like give reasons for all of them.
Sure.
I was like, but this is just, it's a really good one. I'm sure you could put some more reasons in, but yes.
I will.
Really, I know yours. I know that one's on your list. I'm pretty sure I know where it is on your list, but yeah, I can't give any like finite reasons other than it's just a really good song.
All right, now on to number 2. My number 2 is Burn. For a lot of the reasons that you mentioned, I also like, this is really, for the vast majority of the show, Eliza is kind of like almost like the foil, or the thing, one of the things standing in the way of, or at least Hamilton perceives her as one of the things that's trying to hold back his success and his, ability to advance. And I think like one of the things that actually really bothers me in the show is and it would be enough when she's, that line about we don't need a legacy, we don't need money. Every time I hear that, I think of this. That's the naive perspective of somebody who has never had to worry about either,
which she hasn't,
right? But this song is the moment where she is truly like taking control of things for herself. She's advocating for herself. She's like, this, here's the line. This is, and this is the life, and this is how I'm going to live it from now on. I am taking control of myself and what I need to have happen. And from then on, like, her character in this, has that shift. So this is a transformative moment.
Yeah, no, I said something like that too, how she's taking control or whatever. But anyway, I might not have said those exact words, but my number 2 is One Last Time. And my top 5 really kind of could be interchangeable. But One Last Time, on top of like what you talked about a few years ago, like this was literally stuck in my head nonstop. It was like the last week of school, and it was the last time it was the first year back after COVID, and like things were like crazy. But this song, like the one last time, just like that line, everything we were doing the last week of school, like that was in my head. And it was a class I absolutely loved. Like you've heard me talk about how much I loved this class. Like 4 years ago, that was another class that like will stick with me. And so just here, like, so this one bumped up a little higher because it made me, again, I think of them also when I hear this song. And again, so it just kind of reminds me of that group of kids that I had, and I really, really enjoyed them. So on top of all the good things you mentioned about it, it always makes me think of that group of kids.
All right, and we are down to
number 1.
I think it's funny. My number 1 wasn't on your list. And it's not the best song, perhaps, but my feelings on it. And I'll share that in a minute. But you've gone first the whole time. So.
Okay. Well, my number 1 is Wait For It.
I knew it.
I actually, in a lot of ways, I struggle with Aaron Burr now, and this is taking the actual history of everything out of it, and how later in life he was tried for treason for a whole separate thing.
We're talking about specifically
the character of Aaron Burr in this. I struggle with him being the villain because I can relate in so many ways. And not to get into specifics, but just there have been times in my life where especially when you've been taught, especially you work hard, you keep your head down, you'll be rewarded, you do what you're supposed to do. I can understand like the where this character is coming from, and then package all that with a brilliantly written song that has like this great, like, it's kind of like a low key song, and then there's this punch like right in the middle that it, and it's really, in a way, Burr kind of like bearing himself out. Yeah, it's just something that resonates with me, and I just absolutely love it.
Yeah. So my number 1 is Yorktown, The World Turned Upside Down. And there's a lot going on in it. Obviously it's the big battle. We won the war's over, everything like that. But it's more the, like, I love to sing along to it. I wish that I could play it and use it. Like, so I teach 5th grade, and 5th grade, the Revolutionary War is in the curriculum. And man, I know, it's not 100% accurate or anything like that, but I could get the kids a lot more interested in the Revolutionary War and the Battle of Yorktown if I could play,
if not for
play that song. Oh, but on top of it, when I've talked about songs that I run to, like This for me is like the ultimate. If I hear this song in the morning, like when I'm running, I'm like, this, it just gets me ready for the day. And yes, I will be running out there, and that the Hercules Mulligan. I am not going to say it because I'm not going to swear on the podcast, but I will like, or on the treadmill. I'm sure you've heard me do it before in the basement, but in fact, I remember one time you're like, were you singing down in the basement? I think, well, parts of songs, but it's like, it kind of makes me feel like I can take on the world. And there's some tough days at work, obviously. And there's been years that have been tougher than others. And I think especially like this past year, there were definitely some challenges that I was facing at work. And it was just like I could hear this song and it was just like, I can take on anything. I can take on whatever student is going to act up or whatever, any other little issues that there were. We were talking about it at 4th of July, after 4th of July, or like at 4th of July party. I think Katie was the only one there. Maybe your mom was there too, but just kind of saying that, and they were laughing at me, and I'm like, oh no, I'm doing it. I'm like running down. I'm like, knock me down. I get the, so it just kind of makes me feel like I can take on the world. If they can take on the British Army, I can take on the world just by listening to that song. So that's why it's up there at number 1 for me.
All right. Well, that is our top 10 Hamilton songs ish. So speaking of ish, there were a few like honorable mentions that I wanted to
go for it.
Throw out there.
I want to see if any of them are on mine. Because I would say our lists were overall.
Yeah.
There were maybe 1 or 2. I mean, you didn't have that one. And maybe one.
Which one was? Oh, well, number 1 I didn't have.
Right.
Was that?
Oh, and you didn't have The Story of Tonight. Which I know is a little bit more of an obscure one, but that's, like I said.
Yeah.
So what, I forget what 2 you didn't, or you had. Oh, I didn't have Nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget which other one.
But in terms of the honorable mentions that I had, these are in no particular order. I had Dear Theodosia, which I think is it's great from the it's a beautiful song, first of all, but it's also illustrating that while these two are at odds, they have a lot of similarities as well. And another one that I had as an honorable mention is It's Quiet Uptown.
Yeah, that one I had crossed off my list too.
Again, that's just that's one I don't know if I can put any real thing other than emotional,
yes.
Where it falls in the movie. It's or the movie, the production, whether you're watching it on TV or on stage, it carries weight, even more weight because of the context of it, where what's preceded it. So,
yeah, all the struggles that they've faced,
and then neither of us had this on our list, but part of the reason why I left it off my list is because I feel like you have to either include them all or not include them. And that's The King.
That was on Annie. He was on
this
Annie's
is like
list.
a series of there's like a progression of like The King throughout this. So it's almost like one song that's interspersed throughout the show.
Yeah, I didn't include him either, and I was kind of for that reason earlier, but Annie, he was, and she kind of put it as whatever the first one is that he sings. And then she said,
You'll
But-
be back.
yeah. But then she says, but really,
Oh, wait. Is that?
it was You'll Be Back that she put on
Okay.
there. It might not be the first appearance, but yeah, anyway, yeah, she said, and everything by the king. So
Annie being your sister,
My sister,
who
yeah.
you polled your sisters before.
yeah, this morning when he told me I had to do this, well, I
didn't tell you this morning. I gave you some.
You told me yesterday.
Yeah, and that's when I decided to do it. So.
And I kind of sent it out to my sisters, my cousin, and my friend, and was just like, give me your top 5 or top 10 songs. And I didn't copy them, but a lot of ours overlapped as well. So it was just kind of one of those like, okay, should this be on my list? Okay, it's on your list too. So that that makes sense.
Did you have any honorable mentions? I guess Nonstop is an honorable mention for it.
No, and all the others, I had the same ones as you. I also had the last one, Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story. And obviously it's like the meaning behind that and the wrapping up of everything.
Mhm.
So that was my other honorable mention.
Alrighty.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Well, that will wrap up this episode.
Oh, I was about to say, now I know what I'm running to tomorrow morning. But
But you know what's a great way to take your shot at a great vacation?
oh my goodness, that's a little bit of a stretch, but go for it.
It's using We Do Travel Right. Of course, we're going to talk about We Do Travel Right because we're talking about Disney by extension because Hamilton's on Disney Plus. Disney Plus helped us discover Hamilton.
That's true.
So We Do Travel Right can help everybody else discover
Great vacations.
exactly. And when you talk with We Do Travel Right, you'll have the one-on-one attention of an agent who has the power of all kinds of teams behind them, including the dining team. And Eileen thinks I'm ridiculous right now.
I love you.
But what's not ridiculous is the help that they can provide. And the best thing about everything is it's free.
I knew that answer.
Yeah, whether you're using Disney or going to Universal or going to an all-inclusive or on a cruise, We Do Travel Right gets paid directly by those companies because they build the price of an agent right into their costs. So you're paying for the agent whether you're using it or not. So it just makes sense to use the agent.
They're going to be helping us get some cruise excursions, hopefully.
That's right. So fill out the form by going to wedotravelright.com/Mazza. That's wedotravelright.com/MAZA and get your next magical vacation started today.
Come on a cruise with us.
Well, thank you for joining us for this episode of the Mazza's Musings podcast. This was a blast. Anytime that I can revisit something that I really love, it's just a great time. And being able to do it with Eileen, and it's something that we both really share a love for, it's even better. Speaking of sharing, if you are enjoying this podcast, obviously word of mouth is the best way to help spread the message of this podcast and get more people listening. Just telling people, hey, I'm listening to this great podcast. You should too. But beyond that, if you want to help us out, you can give us a rating or a review on your favorite podcatcher. And that will help with those algorithms and those rankings that help, boost us up and make us more visible so that more people can find the podcast. Speaking of finding things, to find past episodes, more information about the podcast, and a whole bunch of other information, you can go to our website, mazzasmusings.wordpress.com. And while you're there, you'll be able to sign up for our newsletter, which will give you information on past episodes that you might have missed, what we've got coming up, other cool things that we've come across, and sometimes it's even things like contests and sweepstakes. Basically, if we think it's interesting, I'm passing it along to you because we figure you'll think it's interesting too. You can always reach out to us anytime, mazesmusings@gmail.com, or find us on social media. We're at the Mazes Musings Podcast on Facebook, Mazes Musings Pod on X, Twitter, Instagram, and Threads, Mazes Musings Podcast on TikTok, and we're also on Blue Sky, and you can subscribe on YouTube. And if you're looking to support us just a little bit more, you can buy us a blue milk. Buying us a blue milk is a way to help us with some of the small monetary costs that go into putting this podcast together. And that's one more thing that you can find on our website. Once again, thank you to everybody who's been listening. I hope you have a great weekend and a great week. For the Mazes Musings Podcast is brought to you by Hi Dad Soup. Check them out at Mickey and Minutes on Instagram.